Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I'm Josh Goldstein, and today we are talking about how to bring your family to the United States. If you have family members outside the United States, how do you get them to the US so that they can live with you and experience life in the United States? How do you do that? Whether you're engaged to get married, whether you're talking about bringing in your mother, your father, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your children, how do you bring them to the US? What questions do you have? I want to know. If you don't know me, I'm Josh Goldstein. I'm an immigration lawyer, and we help people in all 50 states and around the world. And we are committed to helping people reach their immigration goals. One of my core beliefs is that the immigration system in the US is fundamentally unfair. That's right, I said it. It's fundamentally unfair. It's far too confusing and too difficult. And the agencies really don't care about you. They don't take their work seriously. A lot of them are incompetent, and that makes it hard. And one of the things we're really committed to is helping people fight against unreasonable delays. A lot of people apply for immigration benefits, they have interviews, and then the agencies just don't do their jobs. They don't do anything. I'll be taking your questions today, and I'm live on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We have a Facebook group dedicated to visas. You'll be live in there. I'm also live on LinkedIn and Twitter or X or whatever you call it. So we're live everywhere. We'll be taking questions from everyone. Hannah on TikTok says, what do you recommend, a fiance or a marriage visa? That is a great question. I'm going to answer that one first. I appreciate your question. I have a full-blown video on YouTube that talks about the difference between the marriage and the fiance visa. And it's a bit complicated. So what I would say is this. In general, if you can travel abroad and get married, I recommend that you do that. So people always say, well, which one is faster, a fiance visa or a marriage-based visa? Well, neither one is faster. But if your question is, which one takes the least amount of time? I think you'd have to say a fiance visa. Fiance visas take less time. The reason that they take less time is that you don't have to deal with the National Visa Center. So when you apply for a marriage visa for your husband or your wife, you have to go through an application process with the National Visa Center. You have to fill out a bunch of forms. It's going to take at top speed about 6 months to get through that process. 6 months. And if you're going through the fiance visa, you go directly to the interview. So I would say the process might take about 6 months less if you were going through the fiance visa process, but then rather than the marriage-based visa process. But, and this is important, if you go through the fiance visa process, you essentially have to file 2 immigration cases. That's right, I said 2 immigration cases, not 1. Now, why do you have to file 2 immigration cases? Well, the reason you have to file 2 cases is that one case will get you the visa to come to the US. And then when you get here, you have to get married and go through a separate case. So I have to ask you, would you rather do 1 immigration case or would you rather do 2 immigration cases? Would you rather pay an attorney to do 1 immigration case? Or would you rather pay an attorney to do 2 immigration cases? Obviously, it's better. And then there's the possibility that your spouse could come into the US and you could get married, and they could be waiting for a work permit for a very long time. So for all of these reasons, I usually try to take people who want to do the fiance visa, and I try to talk them into not doing it. And I try to tell them, hey, wait a minute. If you knew what I knew, you would consider the marriage-based visa. Now, there are lots of reasons why you might not be able to do a marriage-based visa. Maybe you can't travel abroad. Maybe you can't get married abroad. Maybe, who knows? But you should consider the possibility of doing that. Consider doing that. So that's, what other questions do you have? Can I expedite my husband's process since I'm 6 months pregnant? He lives in Egypt. That was one of our questions from TikTok. Let me see who asked that. Can you expedite the visa? There is an expedite process that the State Department has that you can request, and you can submit that request for expedited processing, and you should do that. Um, and you can outline why you want it expedited because you have a compelling need for rapid processing, given the fact that you're expecting a child. Congratulations as well. And the worst thing that can happen is they can say no. Um, but it doesn't hurt to ask. You're not going to get it expedited if you don't ask. Put the request in. Why not? Why not? Can I adjust my status by marriage to a US citizen if I worked for cash as an F1 student? That is from Joe Mama. I like that name. Another person on TikTok. That is a great question. So, if you're married to a US citizen, unauthorized employment will not stop you from getting a green card through marriage. That's right. I just said that. This is very important. Listen up, write this down, highlight it, put a magic marker on it, and circle it. If you worked without authorization as an international student, you worked under the table and you got cash, you can get a green card through marriage. And the fact that you worked without authorization, if you're married to a US citizen, it will not stop you from getting a green card through marriage. Okay. So what people do, and this is the mistake, is that they think, okay, I worked without authorization. That's a bad thing. I'm going to leave that information off the form. And so they lie on their form. It asks them for their employment history. They don't disclose that they worked without authorization. And you have an obligation to fill out the form accurately. So if you're not doing that, it's not going to work. So please put down all your employment history on the form. All right. Someone lying, never lie. Lying is bad, says Matthew Archambault. Matthew is a very, very good immigration attorney and colleague. He's based in New Jersey and Philadelphia, and I would gladly refer a case to him. He's a mensch. He's a good man. What other questions do you have for me? I'm going to take a few more questions. I have a few prepared. Let's see here. Here's a question. I have a conditional green card due to marriage. What steps do I need to take to remove the conditions and make it permanent for my husband? Okay, this is a good question. So, if you get a green card through marriage, most people will get a 2-year conditional green card. That's awarded if you're married for less than 2 years at the time the green card is issued, a 2-year conditional green card. And the mistake that a lot of people make is that they think that at the end of the 2 years, they're renewing their green card, and that the application renewal process is very straightforward and very easy, and it's just similar to applying to renew your driver's license. In fact, it's not. The I-751 or green card process for removing the conditions on your green card, you're essentially applying for a new green card. You're applying to keep your green card, and they're evaluating you on the merits. So what you need to do is you need to submit substantial proof that your marriage relationship is genuine and ongoing. So if you remember when you got your initial green card through marriage, you went to an interview, or you probably submitted proof that your marriage relationship was genuine, that you lived with your spouse, that you shared your lives together in many different ways. And what you need to do to get your green card approved through marriage, when you're going for the I-751, the 2-year conditional, you have to submit ongoing proof that the marriage relationship has been genuine over a long period of time, including recent times. So you want to show that you live together, that you have a lease, that you have taxes together. You want to show things of this nature. Now, if you're not together with your spouse, things get complicated. You definitely want to consult with a lawyer. But that would be a good start, is asking yourself, how do I collect more documents to show that my marriage relationship is ongoing? One of our friends on YouTube asked, this is Shafqat Rasul, how much required wedding photos for a spouse visa? Um, well, You're not required to show wedding photos at all. You're not required to have a wedding at all. What you are required to do, what you do need to do, is you need to persuade an officer that your marriage relationship is genuine. And there are lots of people who have genuine relationships, genuine marriage relationships that don't have weddings or don't have wedding photos. But if you do get married, and it's probably a good idea to take some pictures of that. And I would say two really good wedding photos, especially if your families are there, but you don't need to pile it on. One of our friends on Facebook says, Jay Vias, we are in an I-601 situation and our 5 years are getting over in January 2024. Based on our current timeline of the I-601, we expect the waiver to be approved before January. Do I need to take a waiver? That's a great question, Jay. It's a technical one. And in order for me to answer that, I would need to have a lot more visibility into why you need the waiver, what happened, what the timeline is, and so on. So it's kind of complicated. Um, but I can see where you're going with this. You're thinking, oh, I won't need a waiver if I wait out the 5 year bar. And that's true. Zifu. Hi, Mr. Josh. Good to see you online again. Good to see you as well. Sam Malloy, best immigration lawyer. I highly recommend him. Sam is a remarkable guy. And Sam, if you're listening, you said something on Facebook that was very helpful to me. Sam posted that you should never compare yourself to someone else because that's where misery lies. And social media is very bad for this sort of thing. You see other people's how they project themselves online, and you start comparing yourself to their how they project themselves, and it ends in misery. So turn off your phone, go for a hike, go have a cup of coffee, and stop thinking about social media. It's not good. But here I am on social media, providing value and helping people. So there's that. I'm going to take a few more questions, and if you have questions, let me know what they are. Um, but we're talking all about family-based immigration, how to bring your family to the US. And one thing that strikes me, and I've said this repeatedly in other videos, and I'll point it out again today, is that it is today later than you think. It is later than you think. Why is that? Well, two reasons. One is that the marriage, green card, and other immigration processes take much longer than they used to. So things that take a year probably might take 2 years now. Things will take, when people ask me, how long is this immigration case going to take? I say, well, it's going to take too long. It's going to take longer than you think. It's going to take longer than it should. It's going to take longer than you want. So that's one point. And the second point is that I believe that there is a high possibility that Donald Trump or whoever the Republican nominee is will win the election. I don't support Donald Trump. I'm not going to be celebrating if he wins the election, but we've got some terrible polls out right now showing that Joe Biden is not particularly popular. I'm not here to talk about politics or to debate Joe Biden versus Trump. I'm not doing that. I'm here to help you reach your immigration goals. And I know that as Biden is no friend to immigrants, but if Biden is replaced by Trump, the immigration system is going to shut down. So if you want to help your mother and father get a green card to the US, you have to file that right away. So things are taking longer, and we have the possibility that the election could result in the closure of the immigration system. Donald Trump has already said that he's going to impose a tougher version of the Muslim ban. And when Trump announced a Muslim ban in 2015, he says, I'm going to shut this down, the immigration system. I thought it was ridiculous and just campaign rhetoric, but nevertheless, this is exactly what he did. A follow-up question from Jay. He says here, can we make a local appointment, an appointment with a local embassy in advance as our 5-year ban is approaching closer in January? Again, I would need more information to answer your question. An appointment for what and why? And how would you make such an appointment? I would need to know what kind of immigration case you have and why there's a 5-year ban and what, but sometimes I've had immigration cases where sometimes I've had immigration cases where someone is statutorily, by law, banned from returning to the US for 5 years, and I take a look at the waiver process, and I realized that the waiver is gonna take 2 or 3 years. So then I realized we'd be better off just not doing the waiver and timing the immigration case so that the person applies for a green card after the expiration of the 5-year period. So I think that's where Jay is going. But in order to answer your technical questions, I would need a lot more information. Um, Here's a great question. How do I become a citizen if my family has been in the US for 20 years without citizenship? That's a great question. In general, there is no law that you get a green card because you've been here for 10 years or 20 years or 60 years. You could be an undocumented immigrant for an extremely long period of time. Our immigration system doesn't have any benefit for people just because they happen to have been here for a long time. Now, there are some applications that have requirements that you have to have been here for a certain period of time, but there's no general requirement that you get the green card because you've been there for this long. Does that make sense? Um, Here we have a question from Zifu. I wish people in the US would stop looking at each other as Muslim or Christian or Jewish or whatever and look at each other as humans, the same as Mr. Josh does right now. Um, well, look, I have clients who are Palestinian, I have clients who are Israeli. Um, I believe that I mean, everyone should be able to live the life that they want, and they should be able to live in the country that they want. And I think that I'm committed to helping people have a better future by reaching their immigration goals. I have clients who are deeply religious, who are gay, lesbian, you name it, atheists, people from every country, every walk of life, every nationality, and our staff is extremely diverse as well. So we embrace that. We oppose bigotry in all its forms, and we'd want to help anyone regardless of their background. Um, I believe that the Israelis and the Palestinians and Arabs could be friends. Why not? If the Israelis and the Jewish state of Israel is friends with Germany after World War II, then anything is possible, right? Do we have free consultations? We do. We have free strategy sessions with members of our team. And on our website, which is www.jgoldlaw, you can go there, you can answer a few questions, and they're designed to make sure that your case that our office is a good fit for your case. And if you, depending on how you answer, you'll be invited to come to a meeting by phone or by video, and we can talk to you about your case and find out more about what you need help with and see if we can help you. We have a question from Instagram. Why does the Islamabad embassy doesn't work in my case from 2021? The NVC asked me to wait longer. So the consulate in Islamabad is simply not scheduling interviews and not conducting interviews in a reasonable manner. They're making people wait for years and years and years. And we have an entire team that is devoted to helping people in that situation. The way we help people who are stuck and haven't been able to get interviews is that we file lawsuits against them in federal court, and we challenge the delays. And the basis of our lawsuit is that this isn't reasonable. It's not reasonable to make someone wait 3 years for an interview. It's simply not. We have a friend on YouTube, Steven Stanek. He says here, if my fiance wins her I-601 interview for a minor cannabis possession from 10 years ago, can she refused a K-1 visa at the next interview for not having rehab, which was never brought up? Boy, um, Stephen, my heart goes out to you. I cannot tell you how many ridiculous immigration cases we've had to deal with where marijuana has caused so much problems. I live in Los Angeles, where marijuana is decriminalized for personal use under state law. But immigration laws are different. Immigration is federal and difficult. And if you have marijuana use, you're gonna have a big problem. Um, the thing that Steven's getting at is that if you admit to marijuana use, then they can deny you under a health related and admissibility grounds, where they say the reason that you're being denied is not for the marijuana conviction. It's not for using marijuana. It's because you're a drug addict. It sounds absurd, right? Someone who uses marijuana is not necessarily a drug addict, but under the immigration laws, that is the case. There could be a rehabilitation process that you have to go through. I'd have to know a little bit more about the facts. I think you should be very careful about how you answer questions in medical exams. If anybody out here is going to a medical exam for immigration purposes, listen to me now or be sorry. If they ask you whether you have used marijuana, you should understand that if you say yes to that question, it's going to cause you tremendous problems. Okay. So be very, very careful about how you answer that. Um, what other questions do you have? My sister, can she bring her 24-year-old unmarried son on her I-130 approved petition? I'm not quite sure what that question means. Um, if your sister is a US citizen, she can petition for her unmarried son, even though he's 24 years old, and it's going to take quite a long period of time. Um, if someone petitioned for your sister, her unmarried 24-year-old son will not be able to be included on her immigration case as a derivative because he's over the age of 21. Groovy Droovy on Instagram asks a good question. What is the process for citizenship if my family has been undocumented for a long time? Well, the process is number one, to know that just because you've been undocumented for a long period of time does not mean that you're eligible for naturalization or a green card or anything else. The way that you gain immigration benefits is by qualifying under the immigration laws. And how do you do that? Well, you have to come and book a strategy session with our team, answer some questions about your immigration history, your family history, your criminal history, if there's any. And we want to know how you came into the US and how long you've been here and what visa you came in with, and many other things. For example, there's a program called Parole in Place. I'd like to mention this. If you are undocumented and you meet certain requirements and you came into the US without authorization, you snuck across the border. If your close family member is part of the military, then you might qualify for something called parole in place, which would allow you to get a green card that you otherwise wouldn't be eligible for. Um, so we have someone on Instagram who asked a great question. What's the fastest way to bring my parents to the US for a green card as for a green card holder? Well, you cannot bring your parents to the US if you're a green card holder. You can only bring your parents to the US if you're a citizen, a US citizen. So the first step is to become a naturalized US citizen. And the second step after you become a US citizen is to apply for them, and that process is going to take time. Now, I want to mention to you a case that I'm doing today. I met with a family who was undocumented. I met with them and I looked at my schedule. I met with them in April of 2012. April of 2012, I met with them. And I said to them, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do to help you. And they said, but we have a US citizen son. I said, I'm sorry, your son can't help you get a green card until he turns 21. His 21st birthday is in May. They just booked an appointment. I'm meeting with them today. We are going to get them green cards and they're going to become US citizens. And this beautiful family is going to complete their immigration journey. They're wonderful people. And I've kept in touch with them more or less on social media. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is. What other questions do you have for me? I will answer any question you have. I will do it. And I will even make a video for you if you need. if you need one, a full-blown video. In what state am I in? Said Brandon. I'm in a state of gratitude right now. That's a smart ass answer. But I'm in California. We also have an office on the East Coast in Massachusetts, but I work on cases in all 50 states and around the world. Many of our clients hire us from Africa, from Asia, from Utah. We have tons of clients in Columbus, Ohio, from the Somali community. We have lots of clients from all over. We are not a local business. We're a national and international business. We help people, regardless of where they are, reach their immigration goals. And we're really, really proud to do that. What other questions do you have? Put your questions below. So I'm going to take another question from Jay. He's been asking some good questions about his waiver process. He says, when my wife applied for her R1, her marriage-based visa, the office denied and asked her to return once a 601 is approved. Now 5-year ban is getting over in January. My question is, can she reach out to Mumbai in advance to schedule her R1 interview the day the 5-year ban is getting over? I would have to find out more about your case to know that. But I like the direction that you're going. I want to know why you need a waiver. That would be an important part of the process as well. Here we have Amir Hussein Musavi. Josh, do you think the type of visa affects the optimal timing for writ of mandamus? Does an H-1B visa with an employment start date that's already delayed take priority over K-1? No, I don't think that. I think that writ of mandamus is very effective. Let me tell you what a writ of mandamus is. It's a way for you to go to court and challenge as unreasonable the delayed processing of your immigration case. And what our friend on YouTube, Amir Hussein, is saying is someone who applies for an H-1B visa, they have a job. They have been approved. They should get a decision on their visa and get approved for a job, but they can't because the consulate's not doing its job. The consulate is just sitting on the application. So if the consulate is unable to make a decision, they're not going to get the visa that they deserve. And they could lose their job. But is that more of a priority than a fiance visa? Someone who's engaged to get married to a U.S. citizen? No. And my friend Amir Hussein, we're even doing lawsuits to challenge the delayed processing of visitor visas now. I think visitors have less of a claim to a visa than someone on an H-1B visa or something like that. But all of these cases are ones where mandamus can work. All of them. Here's somebody on TikTok who says, my son's in active duty. Does he need to be present for the interview? I would have to know. Here's someone else. My spouse crossed the border in 1998 with a fake ID. The officer allowed entry. We don't have any evidence. I'm not sure what your question is, but I'd like to hear more about that. I'd like to hear what's going on. What's on your mind when it comes to immigration? What's your immigration goal? Post it in the comments below. Are you trying to get a citizenship, a visa, a green card, a work permit? If I could wave a magic wand and get you any immigration benefit you wanted, what's your first step? What would it be? We have Samia Rabani. My dad works here and lives here. He paid his taxes last year as well. Daniel Lopez on YouTube. Hi, Josh. Should I appeal my case after the judge dismissed my case for the delay on the I-601 processing? It's going on 17 months. I don't know. I need to know the facts of your case. I'm sorry to keep saying that, but should you appeal or yes? Steven says, if an approved I-601 waiver less than 30 grams of cannabis qualifies for a waiver, can the judge still refuse a visa or to rehab, or does winning it override any surprises? That's a great question, Steven. Getting your I-601 waiver approved based on these set of facts that you have marijuana under 30 grams, that's great. But you still have to deal with the fact that they could come back to you and say your fiance is a drug addict. And so she needs to be rehabilitated through the health process, and that takes 12 months. That takes counseling. That takes therapy. That takes letters showing that she's not a drug user. I think it's complete bullshit, and it's unfair to people, because someone could use marijuana without being addicted to it. Um, but the consulate has no such reasonable impression of this. And I think that would be a good topic for a full blown video. But Stephen, if you don't have a lawyer, you should get one. I'd love to help you with the case. So reach out to us because you're going to need help. Um, Amir Hussein says, Josh, H-1B visa applicant in AP. Have you had any clients recently that filed a writ of mandamus within 6 months after? Yes, we file cases within 6 months. It depends on the facts. I mean, look, Amir Hussein, you have to show that the delay is unreasonable. And if you're at risk of losing your job, that's not reasonable. They have to make a decision. They have to make a decision. They have to. They owe you that. Here's a question from a friend of ours on YouTube. I came to the US when I was 17 and my dad was a citizen upon my arrival. Am I eligible for citizenship? It's possible. I came to the US when I was 17 and my dad's a citizen. Upon my arrival, am I eligible for citizenship? What you're getting at is whether or not you derived citizenship from your parents. And if you live with your parents in their legal custody with a green card in the US before the age of 21, you may be eligible for derivative naturalization. So you could get your citizenship without applying for naturalization, just by the fact that you derive it by operation of law. If anyone needs help with immigration, you can reach me. I have the link in my bio, but you can also reach me. I'll put my email in YouTube comments so you can see it. Joshua at jgoldlaw. Let's see here. Joshua at jgoldlaw.com. Joshua at jgoldlaw.com. That's my email. Email me directly. And if you put no more waiting in the headline, you always get immediate attention from me because we are committed to helping people reach their immigration goals. People out there who get stuck in administrative processing and with other types of delays where they can't get an interview and they can't get a decision and so on, they often say, well, I'm going to wait 6 months. I'm going to wait 1 year. I'm going to wait 1 month. I'm going to wait 2 weeks. I'm going to wait 30 days. I'm going to wait 90 days. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. We don't do that here. We take action because one of my core beliefs is that waiting leads to more waiting. Waiting is not going to solve your problem. Waiting is going to cause additional problems because when you wait, bad things happen. We've had plenty of cases where, unfortunately, the petitioner in a family-based immigration case, the petitioner dies. And if the petitioner dies and someone's outside the U.S., then not only does the family lose the petitioner, but they lose the immigration case as well. And how do you prevent that from happening? Well, you don't allow a case to sit around for 2 years or 3 years. Someone on LinkedIn or Instagram says, I lost my naturalization certificate. Do you think I need a duplicate? There is a way to get a duplicate original replacement for your naturalization certificate, and I think you should do it. So why would you need that? I don't know. It's an important legal document that might come up at some point in the future. It's a good thing it's a good thing to have, and it's a bad thing not to have. So I think you should definitely do it. Here's Hawthorne Branch on YouTube. Says, I came to the US in 1989 when I was 6. I don't have a criminal record. I have 4 US born children. What would be the first step to apply for a green card? Well, I guess the question that I would ask is, how did you come into the US? How did you enter the US? Maybe you came in with a visa and a passport and you flew in on an airplane and you were inspected by an immigration officer. Or maybe you snuck across the border and after you tried to come in 10 times and was caught and returned, on the 11th time you came across and you snuck in successfully. So those are two possible answers to how you would have come into the U.S. And that's a very important question. It's going to determine what your immigration options are. Some other questions I would have for you, Hawthorne, are: how old are your children? You said you have 4 children. Are any of them over the age of 21? Are any of your children in the military? Do you have any active family who are active duty or retired military people in the U.S. military? I'm looking for parole in place. I'm looking for ways for your kids to petition for you. Those are all questions that I would have, but 1989 was a long time ago, and I hope there's a way we can help you get your green card, and would love to hear more. If you reach out to us, we can help you. Um, John Neal on YouTube. Love your picture. Thank you for tuning in. After the ceremony, you after the I assume the wedding ceremony, you were given a copy of the certificate and a license that the judge signs. Can I use that as evidence, or do I have to wait 4 weeks for the marriage certificate to become available? I assume, John Neal, that you're trying to prove that you are married. And if you're trying to prove that you're married, you need a marriage certificate. Whatever you got at the wedding ceremony is not going to be enough. So shortcuts make long delay. Get the right paperwork and you'll do better. We in our office do a lot of cases for green cards through marriage, and we know that we know which counties issue marriage certificates faster, and we give people advice on that. So, um, Hawthorne Branch, his daughter is 21. So yeah, I mean, you should reach out to us. I'd love to try to help you get a green card. And if you entered Hawthorne, if you entered legally with a passport and a visa and inspection, and you have proof of that, then I think that you would be eligible for a green card um, in the United States. That would be a good thing. What other questions do you have for me? Let me know. Put them in the comments below. I ask people to put down um, where they where what their immigration goals are, and I would love to hear more about that. So please let me know. Let me know. Um, all right. Here's a question. He did not. So Hawthorne Branch did not come in legally. So I guess the question would be, how many times did you enter the U.S.? Did you enter one time without being inspected, or did you come and go multiple times? If you came and went multiple times, then you are subject to what's called the permanent bar, and I won't be able to help you. If you came in without authorization once, I'd want to know how you came in. Did you show a fake passport? Was it a fake U.S. passport? Did you just sneak in and nobody caught you? I'd want to know a lot more about that, and that's what I would explore in a consultation. Um, he entered one time, and yeah, I mean, I think that it sounds like you do have a possibility um, for getting a green card. Let me know. All right. Let's see. Here we have another question from Janil, our friend on YouTube. I have a social security number from F1 status, now applying for adjustment status. The form asks if I'd like to be issued a new social security number. What to put here? No, that social security number will be with you, the same number from start to finish. Start to finish. So just use the new number. You don't need a new number. Just use the one that you used as an F1 student. And let me know if you need help. Reach out to us. Something I can definitely help you out with. Um, what other questions do you have? Let's see here. We have someone on Instagram who says, I want a petition for my son, but I don't have the lawyer's fee. Is there anywhere I can get pro bono service? Very much appreciated. Yes, you can. There are local community organizations that have pro bono attorneys, free advice. There are clinics, things of this nature. Every city has them. We have them in Los Angeles, and Boston, and New York, and so on. We occasionally take cases for free as well. I recently did a consultation with a woman who was a refugee. Her children had been stuck for many years in administrative processing. And I said, "Well, where do you live?" She said, "I live in a public housing project. I'm blind." And I thought to myself, okay, we have a woman who's blind. She's a refugee. Her children are separated from her. She lives in a public housing project. I said, "Look, I'll take your case for free. Don't worry about it. We're going to do it for you. We're going to bring your family back together." And I was very grateful for the opportunity. This is something I say to all clients. I say I'm very grateful for a chance to help you, and I think that's a great mindset to have as a lawyer. I feel like I have the best job in the world, because I have the ability to help people and to give them a better future. And I don't know, that's how I feel about it. And um, let me know how I can help you. Uh, Can I be taken to court if the visa is rejected? I don't know. I'd need to know a lot more about this. Let's see here. Groovy Droovy. If my parents overstay their visa, is that considered inspection? What are the chances of them getting their citizenship through a child who's 21? Well, here are some questions that I would want to know the answers to if somebody came to me and said, "Can I get a green card through a child who's 21?" I would want to know how you entered the US. Did you come in with a visa and a passport? Were you inspected by an immigration officer at an airport or border crossing? Do you have proof of this? Or did you sneak across the border? If you snuck across the border, I would want to know the time, the manner, the all the details for how you entered. I'd want to know how many times you went back and forth. I want to know your history. Did you come to the US and stay for a while and then leave and then come back in? I'd want to know all those things before I could evaluate that. And I also want to know if any of your children or close family members are in the military looking for something called parole in place. Those are some of the questions that I would have for you, Groovy Droovy, and all the other people who want to get green cards through their children. Those are the questions that I would have. Um, does that make sense? They came on a visa and then overstayed. So if your parents came on a visa and overstayed, they've been here for many years, um, then it's possible that you could get them green cards. And, if you really want to know whether you could get a green card for your parents, then you can book a free strategy session with our team. And we have one of our directors of client engagement will chat with you and talk to you about your situation. And we'll see if there's a way to help you. And if we can help you, we will. And if we can't help you, we'll explain to you why that is. Um, so Hawthorne Branch, I want you to, yeah, you made a consultation with us. That's great. We'll help you out. We'll help you out. And I would be very happy. I'm very happy when people make appointments and reach out to us and they say, "I saw you on TikTok. I saw you on Instagram. I saw you on Twitter." Um, I consider everybody watching to be a friend, part of our community. And I do everything I can to help people and give them value and give them advice. Someone says, "How long does it take to process an I-45 based on asylum?" I would say it should take 2 years. 2 years. Someone says, Rashida says, "Please reply to me. Please reply to me. I'm waiting." And now I'm scrolling up to find your question. Um, Here. My family's living in the US. They have citizenship. Is it possible for them to get an immigrant visa from the US embassy in Islamabad? I don't understand that question. If someone is living in the US and they have citizenship, why would they want to get an immigrant visa from the consulate in Islamabad? If you're a citizen, you would have no need to do that. So I guess that is unclear to me. Um, it doesn't make sense. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know how I can help.